G'day, and welcome back to Aussie Botcast for another week. This is our fourth official episode. We've done a half episode on Q&A, and we did a test run episode where we just kind of worked out what buttons did what. And if you want, you can watch all of those on YouTube. But for our fourth episode, we're starting to bring guests into the mix, into our panel, and we'll introduce our guests very, very shortly. But for now, my name is Gunther. I'm the host of Aussie Botcast, and I'm very, very pleased to be in a community that actually cares about each other and is nice to each other beyond these plastic figures that we keep on the shelf. So, introduce yourself, my friend.
Hello, I'm Stel, or Nefarious Clockwork on Reddit and Instagram. I am a long-time fan of Transformers, amateur toy photographer, and now podcaster. I can add that to the resume.
Chuck it on the CV. Same for you, Scotty. Fockweasel.
Yeah, so Scotty is my actual name. Fockweasel is my gaming name. Long-time collector, long-time lurker amongst all the groups. Never really out there, but yeah, apparently I'm also now in a podcast. Thank you.
We're going to do a hop, skip, and jump over the next face of my screen, only because I want to give him the justice that he deserves. But we're going straight down to Chris Towney. How are you, mate? Good to have you on board.
Great, mate. Yeah, happy to be here. Chris Towning, long time shit talker, I guess. I really enjoy
Sunday night.
Right, that's me. That's my title.
No, I'm here to shit talk what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I kid. I'm apparently a podcaster as well.
Yeah.
When I can stay awake.
Well, you've survived the gauntlet. You've put your bubs to bed and you're still awake. That's a win.
I'm here. I made it through. I usually fall asleep when I put him to sleep, but tonight I'm present.
Fantastic to have you. And Mikey, welcome back, mate. Nice to have you back on board.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. Yep. Mikey, good mates with the guest of the show today and long-time Transformers fan ever since I was 6. I've been collecting and haven't stopped. Also, avid Rabbitohs fan, but I don't think we get into that here. So, yeah.
Only if you want an argument.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. We are the best team. Sorry, but yeah, love Transformers. Hoping to get. I do have a Rabbitohs tattoo, but I am hoping to get a Transformers tattoo soon. I was just discussing this with someone today, so yeah, keen to be here too.
Fantastic. And just before we let Jason go on and introduce himself, thank you to everyone watching. Thank you for the support that we've had. We're continuing to grow in numbers. We're only 9 away from our first stretch goal of 86 subscribers, and we do the draws for our Bumblebee prizes, kindly donated by Michael Vella, soon. But like, subscribe, share, join the chat. Agree with us, don't agree with us, but take part, because this is for the community, not just in Australia and New Zealand, but the world, and we're really glad to be here. And without further ado, I'd love to introduce Jason Murray to the stream, our first ever official guest. Jason, thank you.
Hello. Yeah, g'day everyone. Welcome to the. Oh wait, no, this is not the TCCA podcast. Sorry. It's very.
Nor is it
it's
Toy
very
Reel.
familiar. Yeah. Nor is it Toy Reel. It's very familiar in here, but it's different because I'm not used to not having the producer controls on the podcast screen in front of me. So I'm sitting in the passenger seat tonight, and I'm letting someone else drive the podcast, and we'll see how I feel about that. But so I'm Jason Murray. Everyone's introducing themselves with gamer names, and I don't think I have a gamer name. I have like the name that I've been using on Twitter for years. It's more my social name, which is JM77, and you can find me on. You can find me on Twitter if you really want to, but you can find me on Blue Sky, which is a far friendlier place than the cesspool that has become Twitter. And yeah, I encourage everyone to find me on Blue Sky if you like, because that place needs a little bit more action and a bit more activity there.
Would that be your gamer tag? JM77? Would that be your gamer tag, JM77?
It probably is. It the best that I can give you is it's my Pokemon Go trainer name. So yes.
That'll do. That'll do. And welcome to Spartan 5016. Welcome back to the stream, and thank you for being with us. We're very glad to have you back as well. Jason, so tell us a little bit, how far back does your personal history with Transformers go? Are you right from the start? Did you pick it up a few years? Before we get into tonight's discussion, where exactly did you start your fandom from? And how?
I'm a gentleman of a certain age, and so that means that I am old enough to have been around when Transformers launched in 84 or 85 here, depending on which year it was. And to be honest, I can't remember which year it started, but I suspect it might have been 85 in Australia. But I remember getting Optimus Prime, Megatron, Ultra Magnus, Galvatron, all these, the big bots for like Christmas presents and birthday presents and the like. But I think my first Transformer might have actually been Powerglide, the G1 Minibot. I don't have to explain that Powerglide's a G1 Minibot. This is not the audience that requires an explanation of what these things are. But just in case people thought, oh, he got Transformers Armada Powerglide. No, it was the G1 Minibot. I'm pretty sure that was one of my first Transformers, and like, I will say it's been a lifelong love, but I've fallen in and out of Transformers fandom or interest over the years. Sort of, there's been multiple times that I've not been interested in Transformers. I think I'm kind of stuck here now. Like I've planted enough roots into communities, and I fly to attend Transformers conventions. I think I'm definitely in the fandom these days. But I think some of the notable sort of in and outs of the fandom. I think I was not interested in Beast Wars at all. And like Beast Wars is cool. I've already gotten a thumbs down from Mikey for that. That's gonna change what we do at TF Nation.
That's a different episode, Mikey.
And Mikey, just remember, I've got the keys. I've got the hotel room booking.
Yeah.
So like I was not interested. I was not interested in Beast Wars. It doesn't mean I'm not interested in Beast Wars. I'm just not into it. I'm fine. I'm fine to say truck, not monkey, but I also am fine that people like Beast Wars, and I like that people like Beast Wars, and I don't have to. But for me, robots work really well when they disguise themselves as vehicles, and less well when they disguise themselves as animals. That's all it comes down to for me. I got very much back into like Transformers as a thing after sort of lapsing through the 90s, I guess, as I grew up, and Binaltech and Masterpiece figures really got me back into Transformers fandom. My dad lived and worked overseas at the time, so I got to go to places like Singapore and Hong Kong on school holidays, and these are places where buying Masterpiece figures was commonplace. You'd go out and you'd find toy stores, and they would have the latest. They'd have the latest Transformers, and they'd also have Masterpieces. Oh, ooh, that's cool. I remember one distinct toy store that I used to go to in Hong Kong because my dad used to live there, and they had a floor display. So you'd walk into the store, and you'd step up, and they had a lot of figures displayed under glass on the floor. They had this super strong floor, and I remember distinctly walking into there one day and just going, "Hey, you got the new Masterpiece Skywalk? Cool. Can I buy that? Great, yeah." And they had to like open up a floor panel in order to get it out of the floor. I'm like, yeah, this does not work very well for you in terms of like selling stock. Like if you have to clear everyone off the floor in order to open it just to get stock out and make a sale, that's going to be pretty poor. So yeah, like it's very impressive. Like you can stand there and look all introspective, but just be looking at all the cool shit at your feet.
Yeah.
So I've spent a lot of time over the years around Southeast Asia and Transformers and toy stores around Southeast Asia, and if we fast forward a few years to getting interested in Facebook groups and things like that, and so TCCA is Transformers Collectors Club Australia, and we're the largest fan presence in Australia for Transformers. So we've got nearly 7,000 people in the group. And we were talking about this. We were talking about this a little bit in our pre-show. The number of people who've come into groups and the like over the years, and we're a little bit insular. We try to make sure that Australian based people come in. Like, we don't have a problem with people from overseas if they live in Australia. And to be honest, like, over the years, I've also brought in a number of people from overseas for various reasons. I know we've got some artwork from not some artwork. We've got some photos from Maz coming up as we discuss Transformers Animated. Maz is in the group. Maz has been in the group for a little while. He doesn't really do much. He's mainly there to promote his podcast. And I don't think he does much of the podcast promotion these days. But very occasionally, like, you'll post something and you'll get a like or a comment from someone who is not in Australia, and they might be a notable person in the community. We had Andrew Griffith, is an IDW Transformers comic artist. He's in the group because he came to Australia and he visited for Oz Comic Con. So hey, come join the group, come and hang out with us. So yeah, I mean, the other thing is that we are big enough that we've had a bit of attention from Hasbro over the years. Yeah. So Hasbro Australia is kind of a sales and marketing operation. They don't have the same continuity, let's say, of staff that they have in the US, where, like, we've been watching Mark Marr and other people from the Transformers crew, give us live streams for years now and give us product information. So Hasbro Australia does not really have the same continuity of staff. There are a few people there that we can speak to, and I like the fact that I can send someone at Hasbro an email and they will answer me. Whether or not they give me the answer that I want, usually this is not coming here, but one of the things that we've tried to do over the years is get people information about when stuff is coming to Australia, and that's worked really well it's worked really well for a while. I kind of don't need to do it these days because stores like the Gamesman, they get pre-orders up before I even think about sending off a query to Hasbro, and so that has kind of lapsed a little bit, which is fine because I've been very busy doing other things for a while. So if other people get information, we've had a lot of questions just this week about, is this product coming to Australia? I think it's More Than Meets the Eye Studio Series Starscream, and someone's finally got an SKU, a SKU, or whatever, however you pronounce it. That was a weird thing to trip over, but they finally got a SKU from JB Hi-Fi for it, and they've published it in the group. And so, like, it's a lot of TCCA is based on sharing love of Transformers and sharing knowledge about things that are happening in Australia and trying to make life better for Australian collectors.
And how long has it been going? The TCCA, like, how long has it actually been going? And was it originally? And I'm asking as a novice, was it originally something to do with the Collectors Club International that was run, or?
No, so I'm gonna speak for Brad because he's not here to speak for himself. I didn't start TCCA. I joined it along the way. TCCA was started by a guy called Brad Mull, and it does benefit a little bit from sort of stealing the International Collector Club name and sticking the word Australia after it, which, this is the thing that we do in Australia in TV shows. A lot of TV shows do this internationally now. So, like, you'll get Shark Tank Australia or, Alone Australia and things like that. And so we're Transformers Collectors Club Australia. But, we're nothing to do with any of the official stuff. But, no one's really kicked up too much of a fuss over the similarity in the names. Hasbro is aware of us. They've never asked us to change the name or, stop doing anything that we do. I think, if anything, it was probably formed more as a reaction to Ozformers than anything else. And so I think really it was a case of Brad wanted to make a more modern version of Ozformers where we could get people together on Facebook and discuss Transformers instead of people having to go to a separate website, hide behind pseudonyms. One of the things that I really like about Facebook groups is ostensibly people have real names in their profiles. It's not always the case. I think, a few of us in here have different names on our profiles. Facebook for a long time was really good at verifying that people had real names on their profiles, and they kind of let it lapse now. But it's still more often than not you can tell who you're speaking to, and I struggle with pseudonyms. I struggle to remember who's who, and I really appreciate just having people's names on posts. I also think that if Facebook is a place where people have to put their real name on a post, I think they're perhaps a little bit more likely to be maybe a little bit more tolerant, a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more open-minded than just hiding behind a pseudonym. That's maybe not that true these days. I think these days with the world that we're in, and you guys were talking about toxic fandom last week. I think there's a lot of people feel emboldened to be shit online these days, and I've always wanted to make sure that TCCA is a place that is open to differing opinions about Transformers, about various things, and tries to be a nice and open and inclusive place. And like I said, I don't like Beast Wars, but I'm not gonna go and find people posting about Beast Wars and go and shit on it. I'll sit there, and if someone makes a post about how much I love Beast Wars and oh my god, Dinobot's amazing, I'll give it a heart react, because I want to support that stuff. I want people to feel like they can come in and tell us about things that they love, and feel that the community will come around and just go, yeah, that's really good. We want to see more of that. I want you to share that stuff, instead of just feeling like, I need to keep this to myself. I like to hear differing opinions from people as well, but I like them to be respectful. I don't want people to just come in and just go, oh, Bayformers suck. I mean, like, Bayformers might suck, but Bayformers also, kept the franchise alive for a long time. It drove a lot of interest in Transformers between 2007, even beforehand, because even during the production of the movies, like, there was a lot of interest in the franchise online. And so one of our topics tonight is going to be a different version of Transformers that arrived in around 2007 as well. And so would Transformers Animated be around if Bayformers didn't come through the pipeline? Who knows? Yeah. I mean, we can talk about potential alternate history all we like, but there's so much history in Transformers, and I think Transformers is a franchise that keeps reinventing itself. And I think for someone to sit there and say, "Oh, I don't like this version of Transformers, so therefore it sucks," I think people have to understand that there's different versions of things for different people. And for a franchise that can keep rebooting itself, Transformers might have been one of the first franchises to sort of regularly reboot itself, as it sort of it came out of sort of doing I mean, Beast Wars itself was a reboot and a reinvention, and then they went into things like Car Robots, and then Armada and the Unicron trilogy and things like that. And so it established this pattern that every few years you can reboot this franchise. And part of it is to get new toys designed and onto shelves to the kids of the time, but also it means different fans can come along and go, yeah, I really dig that. And I think as we go into discussing animated tonight, we put up a topic in TCCA asking people what they liked about animated, and people came along with a lot of differing opinions about what they like about animated. And I love that people can come along and just go, oh yeah, animated was this for me, or it was this for me, or it was this for me. And I think we also need to remember, if we don't like Bayformers, it's fine, but some people grew up with it, and those people are going to be hitting 20 then those people who were born in 2007, they're going to be hitting 20 years old now, and they're going to start having money to spend on those figures. They'll have jobs, they'll enter the workforce, and I reckon we're going to start seeing a lot more stuff that's probably based on some of the movies come out over the next few years. Studio Series has been a fantastically successful line. Even I've got Studio Series figures, and I've just come in here and just gone, I don't like Bayformers, but I got some of the figures because some of the figures are really cool, especially as they get redesigned and updated over the years.
Well, in our long and illustrious history of a month and a bit, we've already talked about robotics, Action Masters, Generation 2, and all of those at some point put someone puts someone's nose out of joint because they didn't like him or they thought it was a departure from what it was. But as Stelios said last week, the franchise has to evolve. It has
Absolutely.
to continue to grow. And you need new inputs and creative disruptors in order for that to happen. Otherwise, we're just stirring the same stuff around constantly. And that's part of the ethos of this podcast is getting people together that don't collect in very different ways, have very different histories, but we have an affiliation to learn about how other people approach this hobby and connecting with them, and that's a brilliant thing. That Jason is an epic intro, and
so that's the intro. We've just hit 20 minutes.
It's the intro with the first couple of segments. But I do want to say, like, when I first joined TCCA, one of the things that struck me when I found it, it was actually a non-profit, and it was the tail end of where you guys and whoever was in the back end of the scene. I'm sorry if I don't know everyone's name, but whoever was coordinating TCCA in those years, where I came into the background and you guys were sending out like little membership packs, and it was a non-for-profit, and you guys were putting in so much work to kind of bring the community together. That still impresses me to this day, and I still have my shopping list, Transformer Collectors Club Australia magnet that says Transformers, 2-minute noodles, Transformers on it.
It's the only thing you can afford if you've got that many Transformers on your shopping list.
It's proudly in my gym, and I love that thing. I never want to lose it.
Yeah.
So let's get into tonight's topic. We are talking about Transformers Animated today. Thank you for joining us, and you are a Transformers devotee. So let's talk about animated. Now, when you were first exposed to animated in 2007, what was your initial kind of take on it? What were your initial thoughts?
I think a lot of us probably had a very similar reaction to animated, right? And we saw it come up, and we saw these really thick black outlines, really 2D artwork. We've come off a few generations of show where I think Armada was still 2D hand animated. What came after Armada? It was Galaxy Force. No, was it?
Energon.
Energon started using 3D animation, and Energon was using the actual CAD models for the toys to do their 3D animation as well. And so Energon had very toy-like designs. And there's always been this disconnect between what Transformers look like on screen and what they look like in hand when you've got a toy in your hand. Like, you can think about Optimus Prime, the G1 toy, versus its cartoon appearance. Or what about Ratchet and Ironhide and things like that? And so animated came along with these really sweeping, like real obvious hand-drawn designs with curved lines, and a lot of us saw this and thought, this can't work. This can't work. And at the time, like, things like the Powerpuff Girls were very big on Cartoon Network, and Animated was a Cartoon Network show as well. And it was like, what is this? This is Transformers done by the Powerpuff Girls. Like, that doesn't seem right to me. I don't like that at all. And I remember looking at it and just going, I don't know what that is. I don't think so. And I think I think there was a very surprising surprise. People had a negative reaction to something that was announced. I mean, that never happens, does it? I mean, we all know that the fandom is universally positive about new things that are announced every single day, and nobody has any complaints about it ever. I think we all know in the wash up, we're here talking about animated, nearly 20 years later. It's about to hit its 20th anniversary. But, in the wash-up, I think we probably had a much better reaction to animated in the long run. But, the first reaction was probably not that great. What do other people think about this? Like, what did you all think about animated as you saw the first pieces of artwork hit the internets?
I agree. Look, when I've already said my piece on a couple of episodes ago. When animated came out, like, I was one of the people who were just like, oh, this looks weird, but I'll give it a go. I never hated it, but I was definitely not and there was definitely a camp where people were just like, oh, this is shit, we're not going to watch it, blah, blah, blah. They don't want to give it a go. But I was in the camp of like, oh, it looks weird, but I'll give it a go. And I remember watching it on, I think was it Cheese TV or one of the morning cartoon programs.
Toasted
And that's
TV, was it
how
called?
Toaster TV, maybe. Yeah, there was definitely
Yeah.
I think it was that one.
I think it depends what part of Australia you're in as to which show you
Yeah,
got.
no, I vaguely remember Toaster TV. That makes sense. Anyway, yeah, I remember watching. I remember I forced myself to be late for the bus, so then I would have to be, taken to school, driven to school by mum, so I could watch it. So I would more often than not purposely miss the bus so I could watch animated. Yeah, no, I was definitely I was definitely skeptical. But in the long run, very, very happy with it, and it is one of my favorites. It's in my top 3 Transformers series of all time. I can't really, choose which one's my first, second, and third, but there's a top 3 and it's in there. And it's something that ended too early, or it didn't get enough time that it deserved, and something that I think everyone who's a fan of Transformers Animated would love a continuation of in some form.
Yeah. I was talking about this with someone on the Transformers group, and there is a new unofficial series coming out, Mirror Mirror, in 2026. It's a comic book, brings the famous Shattered Glass evil Autobots versus the heroic Decepticons. Yes, that's right, Shattered Glass. And it's presented with Marty Eisenberg, along with Kian Carlisle. So I saw him being interviewed on Transformers the Show, the charity stream, and found out about it that way. So that'll be coming out in 2026. It's not the series that we want. And someone suggested on Facebook that we should get a Transformers animated reboot like X-Men 97 got, which would be pretty sweet if it's done the right way. But at least
I think everyone would love that.
Yeah, there's definitely it's interesting, Jason, because you said not a lot of people were keen, and I know there's definitely that faction. But as I look through the 3 major groups in the Southern Hemisphere, everyone that was talking about animated in response to these posts, they loved it, and there's so much love in this series, and deservedly so. Townie, I know you don't have too much exposure to the animated series. What's your take on the style of the bots?
I'll just start with why I didn't pay much attention to it. I'm sure you guys have all experienced this in the States, walking into a toy shop, whether it's at the time, I believe Toys R Us was still around, or you walk into a Target or Walmart, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They have these 3-step children's changing Transformers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
These fell into that category for me because when I see it and I see the animation at that time, 2009, I'm in my mid 20s, late 20s. And I just know it's not targeted for me. Like, it doesn't feel like it's marketed for me. So it was just an easy ignore. It was like this isn't trying to pull on my G1 heartstrings. Maybe it is, but when I look at it, I don't see it pulling on my G1 heartstrings. So it was really easy for me to ignore.
And I just want to say really quickly, it's really funny that you say that, because if there is a show that references the hell out of G1, it is Transformers Animated, which is crazy because you don't think of it. You look at this show and you're just like, it's such a departure. It's so weird and wacky. It's basically Teen Titans Go of Transformers, which I like Teen Titans Go as well. I think that's a fine show. If there's one series that references G1 the most, it would be Transformers Animated.
I can't appreciate extreme. It's not quite as extreme as Teen Titans Go, though, right? Like, it takes us.
No, it's like, but it's like it's like taking your original like dark and gritty Teen Titans, which would be like the stuff that came before, and then making it a little bit more fun. But animated does get dark. Animated definitely gets dark. It has a lot of really quite dark moments. Yeah.
I think the thing with animated is that it started in a very different place to where it ended up, and it started not trying to homage G1 but trying to reinvent it. So they brought in Dinobots, they even brought in a headmaster, and they had very, very different takes on these things. But in the way that they reinvented this stuff, they endeared themselves to fans, and they showed that we can homage headmasters without actually having to do headmasters, and we have our own take on it. We do things our own way. And this is one of the things that I love about sci-fi franchises is when they do a different take on their source material. And Gary, you mentioned Shattered Glass earlier, and like Shattered Glass is probably one of my favorite things in Transformers, because I mean, it's not just Transformers. I mean, like, it's the mirror universe from Star Trek, and everyone's taken the mirror universe from Star Trek and brought it into their own idea. Like Marvel's doing it on the big screen en masse at the moment with, like, their multiverse stuff, where there are universes where the good guys are bad and the bad guys are good. But the other thing that I love with the Shattered Glass stuff in Transformers is not just that they invert the factions, but they also invert the colors. So Starscream has Jetfire's colors, things like that. And so, Goldbug has they take the colors of their rivals, and so you get these fantastic alternate color palettes that are, and it's more than just swapping Autobots and Decepticons over. The Autobot logo becomes purple, the Decepticon logo becomes red, things like that. As Robert Smith said, like, Shattered Glass is the best storyline. It's the easiest storyline as well, because the greatest thing that we as humans fear is the other. Like we fear and we hate that which is different to us. And so to see ourselves in the opposite light, as I'm going to say we're all good guys, right? But like, to see ourselves as bad guys is, it's quite a stretch, and it's quite an imaginative stretch that's required to get into that fiction. And so I love it when Transformers does Shattered Glass, because I love seeing what people do with it. And I will actually just say that so I've seen Marty Eisenberg at TF Nation. I think he's been there a couple of times while I've been there. So we haven't really mentioned this too much. So TF Nation is a convention that I go to every year in Birmingham in the UK. And Chris, like, you're more attuned with the US fandom, and I've become more attuned with the UK fandom. And I grew up purchasing Marvel UK every week because we got that comic here weekly. And so I've become, I'm actually, I think I've thought about this many times over the years. I'm probably more a fan of the comics universe than even the cartoon universe. Like, people will put up references to things that happened in the cartoon. I'm like, oh, I don't remember that, but I do remember, like, issue 137 of the comic when blah did this and stuff. And so, like, I've always felt more at home with the UK Transformers fandom. And so when I started going out and finding communities online, I found the UK Transformers community on Twitter. And, like, a lot of that community sort of moved off to Blue Sky these days because Twitter's a cesspool. But the Transformers community that forms around TF Nation, and before TF Nation, Auto Assembly, which was a very similar convention in a very similar place but run by different people. And Auto Assembly sort of gave way to TF Nation, and TF Nation is now in its 10th year. I've been going every year that I can since about 2017. And it's Transformers Christmas for me. I love that community, and I love the people in it, and I have a great time. And I'm also really happy that this year I get to go with Mikey. And so,
good job.
And I'm more than excited to go.
Yeah,
we're more than happy to appoint you guys our official delegates to TF Nation, because we can go ourselves. So
look for us to come back and talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get you back to talk about it.
I was about to say, we can probably, knowing us, we can probably fill a full show about just what we experienced. So
absolutely. So I've seen Marty Eisenberg a couple of times at TF Nation. It's also worth remembering Marty Eisenberg's first exposure to Transformers was not Transformers animated. Who remembers Beast Machines?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Got
What
the DVDs and all.
I didn't watch it, but I know it through its infamy.
that's the point of bringing this up, is that Beast Machines is quite infamous in
Yeah.
Transformers history because it took massive liberties with the lore. And Beast Machines introduced things that endure to this day. So did Animated. Like a lot of these reinventions, they bring certain things up that we kick along from time to time, and they'll resurface in other forms as the franchise gets reinvented down the line. And like Animated had like space bridges and ground bridges and things like that, which also come up. And you know they're also from G1, but Animated reinvented the way that they work. Animated gave us Lockdown. Lockdown made it onto the big screen in the Bayverse films. I believe, and I actually am not entirely sure if this is true or not, but I'm pretty sure that Animated might be the first version of the franchise that introduced Sentinel Prime being a douchebag.
You're correct. Yes, you are.
I think that's correct, and we absolutely love Animated Sentinel Prime because he's basically the Tick.
He is the Tick.
He has the enormous chin and the voice, right? And so, like we love all of these things that Animated has done over the years. But Eisenberg's first introduction to Transformers was Beast Machines, and I will never forget the first time I saw him in a panel at TF Nation. Everyone crowded into the room because there's so much love for Animated, and people were like, hey, it's Marty Eisenberg from Transformers Animated. And as they introduced him, they said, this is Marty Eisenberg. He's done Ben 10. He's done such and such. And there's a massive cheer every time they read out something that Eisenberg's been responsible for. It's Transformers Animated. Yes, standing ovations, etc. And then they said, and Beast Machines, and the room was dead silent. At which point Eisenberg's got on the mic and just gone, we know everyone wanted 2 more years of Beast Wars. Sorry.
Yeah. Uncle Chunt in the chat, he's a regular, and he's coming on the show in a couple of weeks to talk about why people keep coming back to Transformers. But he was a Beast Wars lover, and Beast Machines was certainly something, he says. And then heard his earlier comment that it was rough. I do want to thank everyone in the chat. We have been steadily growing our audience every week, and we love having you guys in the chat. I will get back to the comments in just a second, but I've had this shot up on the screen for a while because Scotty Rockweasel is our Decepticon lover, and I want to get his take on this style of Megatron before we move on.
Go.
I'm gonna be honest here. I've seen like one episode of Animated, and it just didn't turn my crank. I don't know why it didn't. It's everything about it should appeal to me. I love the animation style. Big fan of Samurai Jack and Powerpuff Girls. All of those things. Don't know what it is. I watched like maybe the first episode, and something just bugged me immediately, and I was like, "Nah, this isn't for me." But I do enjoy the designs of the toys. Like I look at them and I'm like, yeah, no, that looks it's probably the most accurate we've had to the screen of the toys, and they do look good. Like, but I don't own any. I've got no desire to own any. Just like the whole series sort of didn't click with me, and like you said before, that's fine. It's just not my thing. That's all. So. But I do like the designs.
You're not required to purchase the toys just because they've got the Transformers name on them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, and none of the toys really did appeal to me. I don't know if I just sort of my brain just said no. They look a bit kiddie, but I don't know what it was about them. It just it doesn't even register on it. So easy no for me.
We have a rule here, Jason, for when we show off our bots. It doesn't have to be a new bot. It doesn't have to be something that you got in that week. It can be something from your collection that you've treasured for a long time, because we don't necessarily want to foster people to buy if they don't need to buy. We want them to enjoy their collection however they want, and sometimes we forget about those bots in the back, right? So it's nice to have them. Stel, any thoughts on Animated as we start to scroll through these slides and talk a little bit more?
Well, I feel like Jason was kind of getting into sort of where I fall with or where I stand rather with animated, because like Scotty, I have not watched it in its entirety. I've seen clips, I've seen bits and pieces, but I'm more familiar with animated through sort of the way certain aspects of it through osmosis have kind of spread into stuff that's come later. Like I'm familiar with it's the first time we saw Ultra Magnus use a hammer.
Yeah.
The hammer kind of became a bit of a staple for him for a little while. Certainly in Transformers Prime, which is the one that I am most familiar with, he wielded the Forge of Solus Prime, the hammer. That kind of became his thing. His Generations toy had the hammer as well. His, hammers seem to be his thing now from just based off that. Obviously, Lockdown, who was arguably the breakout character of animated. And I mean, if you're going to be voiced by Lance Henriksen, it's going to happen, regardless of how good or bad the character is. I really love Lockdown as a character. Just this utterly amoral bounty hunter, where technically he's not aligned with anybody, but he's just so thoroughly unpleasant.
But he's also the best at what he does.
Yes,
Yeah.
He's the best at what
always
he
the best
does, and he is easily the best movie villain because he actually killed like 90% of the Transformers that he encountered. So of all of the
He's the most
Transformers. So
successful.
yeah, he was the most successful villain, and yes, Lockdown is one of the best Transformers ever. Congratulations.
I love the whole thing of the trophies, taking trophies from his victims, and he just becomes more and more powerful.
Not only does he take them, but he grafts them to himself. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not creepy at all.
Yeah, and again, that's one of those elements that got passed on, right? That happened with Skirt.
Yeah,
He started taking trophies and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Look, from my perspective, I can't remember exactly when I encountered Transformers Animated, but I love the expressiveness of it, the style, and it was such a rapid departure from what we'd seen before. Beast Machines was rough for me. I loved Beast Wars, but Beast Machines was rough. But when I came across this, the style, the intro music, the intro sequence had that G1 element. And then when I started to watch the show, it was young interpretations of a lot of the characters. And Ratchet being the grizzled old medic, that was phenomenal, right? That was such a great way to have him on the show. And I don't think we get more expressive faces than in any other line than we do in animated. And the storylines were involved as they got through. And it's a crying shame. It's one of many examples in this fandom where we wish the story would have continued, but it didn't continue past season 3. But I think it's a very special thing. Now, speaking of special things, I want to give a shout out to people in the comments. Chustafo, who joined us for the first time tonight, I believe. People liking Transformers is what it's about. I got to give that comment some cred because that is exactly right. Townie, Chris, you're getting some love for your peanut butter jar that you're drinking out of, so we got to give you shout outs for that. We can add that to the merch line down the track. Chris's peanut butter jars. Maj 2183. As I recall, animated toys came out quite some time before the TV series. I didn't have Foxtel at the time, so I couldn't watch it fresh. Can we confirm or deny that?
I don't know about Australian releases. For me, my first exposure to an animated toy came when I moved to Singapore in 2008. I think it was 2008, and I think I would have been going there for a job interview in 2017. And I remember I went there for a job interview. I was fairly familiar with Singapore already because my dad had worked there while I was growing up, and so I went to Singapore for this job interview. I was there for a few days, and I found a couple of toy stores, and one of them had this wonderful animated box that had this very distinct red, white, and blue coloring to it, and these really dynamic lines. And not only that, but who remembers Animated's box design? Like, the boxes were pretty wild in terms of the shape and the folds of cardboard all over. They were very, very elaborate. And I picked this up and I was like, wow, this looks amazing. And the Seekers in Animated had these fantastic toy designs. That it's the same. It's the same with a lot of the animated toys. We touched on this earlier, but the design of the figures matches their on-screen appearance, which is astonishing to think, because it is this design where they have these thick black flowing lines that there's a lot of curvature to Transformers animated figures, and that's kind of the thing. There's curves and chins, and you look at them in a cartoon, you're like, oh, they couldn't possibly do that. Oh my god, the toy looks just like it. If you enjoy the character on screen, you can get the toy and put it on your desk, and it's such a show accurate rendition, and it's astonishing in how they managed to do it. Especially, like, you know, we get figures at the moment that struggle to convey the G1 cartoon aesthetics of particular characters. And, you know, we've got so much more advanced engineering in 20 years, in the 20 years or so since. But the fact that they managed to pull this off in 2007 to 2010 or so, and some of these figures are just they look amazing. Like, we've got a picture on screen that shows some of the repaints, actually. So there's an Ultra Magnus in there, and they repainted Ultra Magnus into Roadbuster. So they sort of put, you know, Roadbuster's orange and green colors on there. Absolutely no relevance to the show whatsoever. It just looks cool. Megatron has got a repaint into Shadowblade Megatron there, which looks amazing. And it's a deco that got referenced elsewhere as well. So I think the Stealth Bomber Megatron, the IDW Stealth Bomber Megatron came out in these colors as well. And it's like, yeah, it looks great. I mean, Decepticons always look great in any of their dark color schemes, like dark colors, black and purple and a bit of yellow and stuff in there. They look great. But Bulkhead as well. Like, if you look at Bulkhead there, Bulkhead's got curves. Like, there are pieces hanging off that toy that they're not straight edges. There's a lot of curvature to him, and that's how he's presented on screen in the show. And you can pick this up, and it's a 3D representation of the 2D artwork that's in the show, and they look fantastic. Some of the designs, they capture the feel, and Gary, you mentioned the expressiveness of the facial expressions. There's like the Starscream Seeker toy has this tremendous smirk, and I don't think Hasbro put that smirk on Starscream before they did that figure in Animated. And now, like, every time they release a Seeker mold, like, Starscream's got that treacherous smirk on his face. You know, want to bet, Megatron? You know, it's fantastic, and it's given us. It's given us a lot of freedom in the toy design since Animated came about to really enjoy some of these character quirks and some of these things that these characters do and say. While we're talking about Seekers as well, Animated also came up with the reason why there's so many Seekers, why they all look like Starscream, and why. And you know what happened to cause all of these Seekers to be repaints of Starscream, and you know, they split Starscream, and they're all different aspects of his personality. And the fact that they bothered to even do this instead of just going, yeah, they're just toys, just repaint them. There is such a love for the sort of the nuances of toy design, that they felt it necessary to address that aspect of the toy design in the show and make it a plot point. And that's something that I've only seen so overtly done in Transformers fandom since then. It's something that James Roberts does all the time in More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light and his IDW comics. So we have a member in TCCA, her name's Sarah Banks, and she's currently going through and posting a lot of really funny pieces from More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light. And there's discussions about what it means to be constructed cold versus being born of a spark and things like that. And and there's references in the IDW mythology to toy terms and toy design terms that we as fans should not necessarily be aware about what these are, but Transformers fans are very, very knowledgeable, and we go out and we seek a lot of this information. Like we're like, what? Oh, why did this toy get constructed in this way? Oh, let's get an interview with the person who designed it back in the 80s and see what they can tell us. Cool. Oh, they used that term. Great. That's going to come up in a comic in 6 years' time. There's all of this stuff, and some of it can be very, very self-referential and kind of self-deprecating in a way as well. It's such a treasure trove of Easter eggs, and that's what you get as you get deeper into animated. And you get things like Omega Supreme. You get the plot line around the arc, and all of these things that happen. And it's just like, oh my god, I see what you've done. Like you've woven all of these elements from the original G1 Transformers right through your mythology of animated, and suddenly the show is a love letter to G1 instead of being a reinvention of it. But it's still a reinvention of it, and it updates a lot of those aspects of the show. One of my favorite things that they did in the show was they took Shockwave and they turned him into he's not even a triple changer, he's a quad changer. He's got 4 modes. Because Shockwave is Long Arm Prime. Oh, sorry, spoilers for a 20-year-old TV show. Shockwave is Long Arm Prime.
Scotty hasn't watched it yet, Jason. Scotty hasn't watched it yet.
Scott, you'll have to just lock your ears, but yeah.
And Christopher said it took him 3 times, Scotty, before he got into it. So you've got a couple more attempts up your sleeve if you want to have a crack at it.
I'll give it another shot. I'm always going to watch something.
Actually, if you can just go back one slide there, like let's just take in this animated Seeker design, right? Like this is absolutely wild. Like look at the shape of those legs. Look at the feet. Look at the fact that like this stuff is all moved around. There's ratchet joints, there's mushroom pegs. It all holds together, and he's standing up. Like that figure is sturdy as anything on its footing there. I also absolutely love the wrist mounted weapon design on the animated Seekers there. Not only because like Skywarp's right arm is pointing that weapon somewhere, but it's also the sort of the upward grasp and the sort of the show of force of the hand gripping something and then having this weapon just sticking out from under it like the left hand. I absolutely love this design, and it's so expressive. Look at that face. Like how could you not love that face? It's amazing.
It is adorable.
They're so good. Sorry, what
was a wonderful shot from 60. I gotta say, this photography from 60 at 60 TF and Triple Takeover Toy Cars is just breathtaking. It really does the figure justice.
Can I tell you a 60 story?
Yeah, go for it.
Wait.
Will it help us make friends with them, or will it
maybe
alienate us?
I'm already friends with them. Mikey and I are members of their Patreon. Like we're on their Discord. We chat with them a little bit. So I see the guys at TF Nation. One year I took my nephew to TF Nation. My nephew's a Transformers fan. I didn't do it. I had nothing to do with it. He grew up in the UK, so I would go over every Christmas. And one year I went along, and suddenly my nephew liked Transformers. Like, excellent. Great. And so I took him to TF Nation one year, and he made it his mission as we went around the dealer room to find every MP10 that he could, all the different variants, and he was just buying secondhand ones, like his mum was buying them, and he was getting a lot of KO MP10s and everything, but it was the same colors that the original MP10 mold came out. And if people know one thing about 60, he loves his MP10s, and he's got as many as he can. And my favorite thing is that this year, my nephew went around and grabbed every MP10 that he could, and every single one of them, he would go up to 60 and go, "Hey 60, do you have this one?" and Sixo is like the most polite English man that you will ever meet, and he would always just go, "Yes, I do have that one. Yes, it's a very good one. I'm very happy you've got that."
I love that story. I love hearing that every time. It's a great story.
Every time I'm like, I was standing behind him like, I'm sorry, it's coming again. It's like, here's the question. He's like,
5 minutes later,
yeah.
he's back. He's back.
Here's the thing as well, right? Like actions like that encourage the youngest fans in the fandom, and they are the future. They are the ones that will continue to grow with it. And those little interactions are just amazing. We did a fan art section, I think it was last week, and Magnus Scott's son did this awesome bot piece, and we made sure it was the first piece of art that we featured, and we hope that will stick with him forever. And we've got to encourage the younger fans, and shouting down parts of the fandom or the franchise that we don't necessarily like ourselves as a bitter old man. I'll speak about myself, bitter old man, but you got to be happy for the next generation that's coming up, and that's the way that you support it. I want to touch on Marvel UK because in an upcoming episode we've got BP Arts, who's a regular artist at Supernova. He grew up on Marvel UK, and that was his biggest creative influence. So we'll be talking about Marvel UK specifically for that. So if you're into Marvel UK Comic Run and want to learn about it, BP Arts, Bradley will be coming on and talking about that. I also want to touch on a comment from Maj 2813, and one of the things that he said, and I want to ask you this, Jason, he says he found the first line of toys frustrating and difficult and certainly not child-friendly. It created a negative reaction out of the gate. Now, I want to ask you this. Is it because, in your opinion, the transformations were a lot more intricate, or was it because it was such a rapid departure from like previous types of Transformers that it's just a foreign concept to kind of work through? Like,
it's an interesting question.
The transformation element of these figures.
It's an interesting question, right? Because the design of these characters, like you can see on screen here. I think this is the dark version of the Rodimus mold. Is it Shattered Glass? I'm not sure. No, it wouldn't be a Shattered Glass, but it's like Nemesis or something. But
this is the sexy stiletto variant, I think.
It's look, whatever it is, it's certainly sexy as hell.
Gorgeous.
I mean, so there's an ongoing joke in Transformers Online fandom that when Takara was designing Masterpiece Megatron, there was a specific direction that Megatron's thighs must be seductive. And look at the thighs on this. Look at the thighs on this toy and tell me that they're not seductive, right? Like, I mean, come on. So the thing is, when you've got characters and when you've got toy designs like this that have curves and like it's definitely harder to make that transformation work. And the engineering that went into the transformation of those figures, I think it was more complicated than we'd seen before. Like they're no longer just big square blocks. You now have to line pieces up on diagonal angles and tab things in. And I think animated might be the first one of the first lines. And I think this is also true with some of the figures from Transformers Prime around the same time, where if you didn't follow the instructions properly, and if you missed a turn or if you missed a twist or something, that toy would not tab together, and you would be forever looking at something that looks vaguely like the vehicle mode that it's meant to, but doesn't, like, every pieces hang out and it doesn't quite work right. So like I get that, like there's definitely probably an aspect of the toys that is probably less kid friendly, but I honestly I can't necessarily speak to that myself because I wasn't a kid. When they came out, and so I think a lot of the Transformers fans who are massive fans of animated now were probably not kids when they came out, and I think part of the part of the appeal of animated to us as Transformers fans is probably that it was a reinvention of something that we enjoyed as a kid. And so I don't know. I think it's really interesting to hear from someone who was a kid at the time and just go, yeah, no, those toys were difficult. Because I think in the intervening years, I think we've had toys that are far more complicated now, and I think we're very accepting of complex transformations now. Don't even get me started on the Masterpiece line. I don't know what the hell's going on there in terms of transformation complexity. We have third-party bots that twist and fold panels all over the place, and it's like, oh, you needed to bend Jazz's arm on an odd angle. It's like I feel like Transformers has sort of hurled itself down a slippery slope of transformation complexity in the intervening years, but animated might well have been some of the start of that. I don't know. I think Prime probably definitely had a bit of that going on as well. This figure that we've got on at the moment is it's another of 6 amazing shots. This is a repaint of the Jazz mold, and this is actually one of the Stunticons. And the Stunticon set in animated is legendary. They're not combiners. They're just Stunticons. They're stunt cars, because they are just repaints. Like there were no actual combiners in animated. But they certainly referenced the concept by making the team of the Stunticons, and this was a 2011 BotCon set. And one of the things that I think kind of defines my collection, which is less so at the moment. In my current residence, I have 2 Billy bookcases that are behind me, and they've mostly got modern characters and a lot of blockies on my shelves behind me. And a lot of my animated stuff is in storage, but I certainly have this Stunticon job set, which was the Stunt Econ job, and it was a very specifically designed set for the BotCon 2011 convention, which is official convention that happened in the US, and they would often get a lot of support from Hasbro in terms of custom designs or custom paint jobs for figures to sell. And one of the things that I like is that I like having a collection that doesn't necessarily look like everyone else on the planet, and so I like to have BotCon versions of bots and repaints in my collection, because I think it makes my shelves a little bit more interesting to look at if you're a Transformers fan, and you can maybe like, oh, you've got that version of Motor Master or Optimus Prime in there. And I will tell you a story that will probably infuriate people about how I got the animated Stunticon job set. So that set is legendary. It's a BotCon exclusive. It's difficult to come by. It goes for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I had a friend who was browsing a store in Brisbane one day, many years ago. It's probably close to 10 years ago now, actually. It might be even more, I think. And he sent it. I think it was if anyone is familiar with stores in Brisbane, there's a store called Comic Book Heroes, and they advertise a little bit in the TCCA sales group, and like they're generally pretty high priced. But if there's something there that you want, like if there's something rare that they get in and you want it, like you can probably bargain with them or go find out and see how you go with them. Anyway, they had a sale on one day, and they're like, all Transformers 50% off. Right? Well, okay. I mean, everything's pretty expensive already, but sure, go in and check it out. And one of my friends who I don't think he's in the group, or don't think he's very active in the group at the moment anymore. His name's Benny, and Benny went into Comic Book Heroes, and he went, oh, I'm in Comic Book Heroes. They got a 50% off sale. Here's what their Transformers shelf looks like, and he sent the photo through this messenger chat that I was in. I was like, well, hey, what is that up the back? There's like a box behind a box that's behind another box, and I'm like, the Stunticon job set had this very distinct circular checkered flag on it, where it's a circle that's divided into quadrants, and it's got like the thing, and I saw that circle, and I'm like, I know what that is. That is an animated Stunticon job set. How much is that? and by the time I saw this, he was out. He'd left the store. He was out in the car park, and I'm like, no. This is very important. I need you to go back to that store and find out how much that set is. And he was like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll go back. And he said, it's marked as $500. I'm like, cool. Does that mean that it's $250? Yeah. Who just like hit their desk in disgust? Was that you, Steve?
That was me. I think we all hate you now.
I've got the finger from Mikey. Stell doesn't love me anymore. I think I've lost the panel.
Well, the friendship is done.
Jason, how dare you? How
Just so
very
everybody
dare you,
knows.
sir?
I've got to say, 250 Australian, yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so 250
it's
Australian might have been cheaper. Like when the set came out, 250 Australian, when you bought it for 250 Australian, would have been cheaper than when you could have actually bought it when it came out, because it would have been at least in the 300s to the 400s.
I mean, let's consider the fact that you had to fly yourself over to BotCon to get it.
Well, yeah, okay.
Right.
And like, so let's say the set started at 200 US, right? You've got 200 US, which who knows what it was back then, but like it's not 200 Australian, right? It never was. It was for
never
one point.
was. Never
But
was.
yeah, so it's like, let's say 250. It's already 250, right? Then you've got to pay all the expenses to box it and ship it and all that. It's 300. It's 350. So at the time, the cheapest you could get it to Australia was $350. Jason got it for 250 Australian dollars. You're an asshole.
Can I just add on to this that I don't believe Comic Book Heroes has ever had a 50% off Transformers sale since.
No. I've visited his store a few times, and yeah, he's not usually very saley when it comes to the Transformers.
No, but I've been in there. I've been in there once. So I live in Melbourne. I am originally from Brisbane, so like I think my family left Brisbane when I was about 8. So I've spent most of my life in Melbourne, and I've spent a good chunk of my life in Sydney now. But I did actually go and check out Comic Book Heroes a few months ago with Mark and Rob, who may be watching tonight. And I really enjoyed going and checking out the store, and I had a good chat to the guy behind the counter. I'm not sure whether the guy behind the counter today was actually Glenn or not, but
Glenn's the owner.
Yeah. So yeah, not sure if it was actually Glenn who I was chatting to. I really enjoyed visiting the store. This is the thing with me. Like I like to go visit stores. I like to have a chat to the people who own them, and it's done well for me over the years. There we go. Oh, so Mark is actually Madge. Oh, there we go. So there we go. There we go, Mark. Now we know. Remember what I was saying about how I don't do well with aliases?
Look, half the panel and half of our audience may now hate you, but we'll still welcome you back at some point. I think that's. I think it's one of the stories of the hunt. Right, we were talking about this in the pre-show. Being able to find that Grail figure that you may have been searching for years, or just never thought you'd ever get, and then having an opportunity to find it through the community or through your adventures is just like, that's part of the game, right? And that's a great story for it. So Mark is.
I'm not going to stop until all of Australia hates Jason. We're gonna start up the all Australian hate for Jason page, and it's just for that one purpose, one purchase.
I gotta be really careful about what you tell people behind my back at TF Nation now.
Forget
the next time I go and speak to Sixto, he may not be so nice.
The darkest timeline. That could be the darkest timeline. Already, surely the Dinobots. Now we don't have a slide of the Dinobots. I know that for a fact, but the animated Dinobots.
And so animated. Animated. Yeah, animated definitely had its own take on the Dinobots, and it wasn't so different to like the G1 Dinobots. Like they live on their own island, and like part of the thing is I think the Dinobots are so powerful you got to move them off the board, and so they sort of shove them off to the. And I haven't watched animated in years, so like I may be misremembering this, but like they introduced them and then they sort of went, no, they live on this island and we'll bring them back when we want to, when we can afford the guest cast, things like that. And so they would bring them back occasionally and do stuff with them, but they also had these absolutely wonderful designs for the Dinobots, and Grimlock just had this massive chin. Like animated is all about the chin design, right? And he had this massive chin with a huge underbite, and his T-Rex mode has such exaggerated proportions. Is he there? Yeah, he's there in this slide. He's there in the middle of the fourth row. It's like playing bingo. It's like, actually no, it's like this will be. It's the Aussie Botcast, right? Like, let's throw in a very Australian kids TV reference. It's line 4, position 3, Grimlock, right? Who remembers now? You see it. So yeah, like Grimlock had such a distinctive design in there, and all of the Dinobots, like they're so distinct. You can see them all on the bottom line there as well, right? Like there's the squished snarl. There's Swoop with this really long beak. They're so cool, but they're also really small. Grimlock was a Voyager, and the rest of the Dinobots were Deluxes. And like, I love them. I wish they were slightly larger, but also they look so cool when you put them together because they're a team, and Transformers teams always look great when they have similar color schemes. And Dinobots are a team, and they should share those color schemes. And like maybe Swoop should be blue instead of red in some cases, but like they look fantastic together. There was actually a repaint of Swoop that made it into the Transformers Adventure line, and I'm not sure if I gave you that one as a picture to put up, Gary, or not, but it was like a black design that made it into Transformers Adventure. And I looked for it the other day to see if I could find one in Singapore, and I couldn't find it. I think it's probably also worth mentioning some of this art's coming up is from Eric Siebenaler, and Eric Siebenaler worked on Transformers Animated and kind of carries this torch to this day. So he posts a lot of art on his Instagram that is like, well, the one that we're looking at right now is Sunstreaker, and it's got the sweeping thigh design and everything. And it's very much a refined version of the look that we got, because it doesn't have to be animated these days. So when you're just drawing something, you can use a little bit finer lines and finer designs. But it's got this 2D cell shaded aspect to it, and it's very consistent with what went before in the animated design. And it's worth remembering the utter tragedy in Transformers animated fandom is that we no longer have Derek Wyatt. And Derek was, look at that. That Sunstreaker is absolutely gorgeous. We no longer have Derek Wyatt, and there's so many people who loved what Derek brought to animated, and like Eric going on and carrying on this design and this aesthetic, and coming up with some of the designs. There was an Energon Megatron / Galvatron that was up on screen a few seconds before Sunstreaker came up as well. And Eric goes and he takes some of these bots that never made it into animated, and deputizes them and brings them into that universe. And I absolutely love seeing that work done. And I would love to get some commissions of some figures and some characters and stuff like that. I don't know. I've got a little bit of wall space in this place, and one of the problems I have is like I go to TF Nation and people sell prints of their artwork, and I come home and I'm like, I don't have anywhere to put this.
Yeah,
it sits in a folder. I've got you can't see. I've got a little bit of stuff up on. I think there's a bit of naked wall space between where there's a door and a Billy, I could put a smaller Billy in that space, but I'm just using it for some artwork. I've got some stuff on the door that's behind me, but you can't quite see it because one of my Billies is blocking it as well. But I love some of the artwork and the like that you can get at conventions, and some of it's animated inspired, and some of it is not, and some of it is just really cool fan designs and the like as well. There's so much to love about it, but it's worth remembering what Derek White gave us in animated, and Derek went on and worked on a bunch of other shows as well that are also similarly beloved. And there's been a lot made of sort of honoring Derek's memory, and the enthusiasm and the love for Transformers that he brought to his work on animated. And there's been a lot of stuff that's happened over the years where parts of his personal collection have gone up for sale at particular comic stores in the US. And you mentioned earlier, Gary, Ken Carlisle and Marty Eisenberg collaborating on the Shattered Glass comic. One of the things I was going to mention is that there was originally going to be an episode of Transformers Animated Season 3, the one that did get produced, that was a Shattered Glass episode. They were going to go into the Shattered Glass universe and start exploring that, and it got shelved and it got shoved to Season 4, which meant it didn't get produced. And one of the things that has come out, this is all this interesting information that's come out in the intervening years, is that there were story breakdowns for Season 4. There were not necessarily full scripts written for some of these episodes, but story outlines were definitely written for, at least for the trial of Megatron, because animated ends with Megatron under arrest at the end of Season 3 on Cybertron, and so Season 4 was going to open with them having Megatron on trial. And this is one of the things I absolutely loved about my time and attending TF Nation. I got to sit there in the audience at TF Nation as they debuted a full cast recording. They got all the voice artists from Transformers Animated to voice their characters for a table read of the trial of Megatron, and hearing these characters come to life for the first time, because this must have been like 2018, 2019 or so, hearing these characters come to life and say new lines for the first time in well over 10 years was just astonishing. And the commitment and contribution that people displayed in giving their time and energy, and these are professional voice artists. A lot of them might have just jumped on Skype, said a few lines, and recorded them, and off they go. But it's this love for the franchise, and it's this love for this bizarre little thing that they did 20 years ago now, that they still get to go to conventions and speak to about it, and it's this participation that gives back to the voice artists who were in on it. It's very much. You just put Uncle Chunt's comment up saying animated's art style is very of the era, and it is very much like there's design DNA for Batman the Animated Series and the like in there. So yeah, sorry, still you've had to take to the comments to get a word in edgeways. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Just adding something onto Uncle Chunt's thing there.
Yeah. Stel, do you have any thoughts? We don't want you relegated to the comments. I appreciate you being in the comments, and there is another comment I want to touch on. But you're our most historically kind of savvy person, which is also our youngest panel member. But any thoughts on where Jason is going with that in Season 4 of Animated, and where it could have gone?
I mean, we can sit there and dream, can't we? That we have, like, I'm looking at this Blackout now, this one that did get produced in small numbers, and I'm just salivating. It's that toy is a thing of beauty. The what was it? The scuba bumblebee, the diving bumblebee that had that extra little thing. That was another one. The Wingblade Optimus with the pack and everything. Those ones that got produced right at the tail end that came out of Japan, but they didn't get released anywhere in the West, and you just sit there and think, damn, if we just had one more year just to sit. And this is coming from someone who hadn't even watched the show. I mean, the designs. I could be wrong here, but I think, did Hasbro not work very closely with the design department for the artists of the show to make sure that everything matched up? Like, even like if you look at like the kibble on Bulkhead that winds up on his back on the toy, that's there in the show, and like everything matches up. Yeah,
I think there was a lot of collaboration between the designers on the show and the designers of the toys, and like it is astonishing to think this is like 20 years ago, and there was so much effort put into just balance this up. And this was a thing that was a known problem in season 3 of Transformers Prime, when Transformers Prime became Beast Hunters, that there was this massive disconnect between the toy designers and the animation designers and the animation designers of the CG. And it's astonishing that just a few years prior, there was so much work put into actually making sure that these characters were very screen accurate. And part of it is a potential changing of the guard that was happening at Hasbro at the time as well, and saying no, we want to do this. Like Hasbro has only recently, I think, started leaning into some of their media properties, and we've been seeing a lot of IDW comics references come out of Hasbro in the last few years, which is great after they took the license away from them and have given it to Skybound. I'm sure IDW really appreciates all the references that are coming out in their toy line now that they no longer have the license to profit from it. But there's I mean, look, there's also, I think this is part of the reality of working on a licensed property, is that you don't own your own work, and the licensor owns your work. So Hasbro owns all of that work that IDW did on their Transformers property, and that's it's up to them when they want to use it and license it and continue it. I just want to point out there's this this photo on here showing the Stunticon job. And actually, this actually makes me realize that I actually mistype this every time I reference it, because I do stunt-i-con job. It's stunty-con job. But yeah, you can see that checkered flag design on there, and that was the thing that just leapt out of me. And I saw that photo at Comic Book Heroes. I'm like, I know what that set is. I know what that is. It is fantastic. And Nathan, it's a grail set for a lot of people. It is such a wonderful set to take a look at, and I'm very lucky to have gotten it, and I love the fact that it's still homaged today. We recently had in Legacy, we got the animated Optimus Prime came up for a redesign, and so as we revisit animated designs in more modern toy lines, they've tapered down the exaggerated features of them, because they're trying to bring all of the figures into sort of this combined space where all of these lines can exist alongside each other. So you can have a Prime figure next to an animated figure, next to an Armada figure, next to a G1 figure, and they all kind of look like they all belong to the same toy line. So the animated proportions are a little bit less exaggerated these days, but we still got that damn repaint of Optimus Prime as Motormaster. And I mean, there is a lot to love about animated Motormaster, because I mean, it comes down to the head, and it comes down to that damn chin again. And you can just see at the top of this box there, also in the Stunticons, in the animated Stunticons, he's not Motormaster, he's the Motormaster. It's so good. It's so good. The rest of them have the same names, but the Motormaster really sort of sets them up as a performing stunt car set that tours the country and does crime as they tour the country, and it's the con is on. There's so much imagination that goes into this stuff. Like I absolutely love it. There's nothing more to say about it. Like I love it. It's so imaginative. It's absolutely beautiful. Also, just check out that Transformers logo up in the top left of that. Like it's the Timelines version of the Transformers animated logo, but look at the number of weird angles that are going there. It's going on there. It is the Transformers font. Like it's the same Transformers font that we've seen for years, but it's got so much weird and wonderful perspectives on it. It's just fun. The colors are crazy. It's got this weird sort of embossed effect on it, and there's sort of 3D aspect to it. But it's a lot of fun, and there was some of the stuff that just leapt out at me when I started seeing these figures on the shelves is just how much fun people had designing the toys and even the packaging. Like I'm a packaging nerd, right? I love looking at how packaging of these things evolves over time, and yeah, like the animated packaging is just it's gorgeous, and it is a product like the figures themselves. It is a product of its time.
Yeah. We better move off this slide because Mikey's rage is starting to boil through the screen.
No, I was about to say, Jason, that is cool. That is cool, but do you have a Transformers 2-in-1 Bumblebee mask signed by none other than Toby Nigwe?
Signed by who?
The dude from Rise of the Beast, the guy that sung the song "On My Soul." Do you have one of these?
I do not.
Yeah, no. I somehow have acquired a Transformers 2-in-1 Bumblebee transforming mask signed by. I don't know if you can see it, but it is signed by Toby Nigwe.
I'm gonna throw out a little bit of trash talk for it. Did you get it for half price from Comic Book Heroes?
Yeah.
No, I got it.
No.
I got it for free from Lisa Marie. So you know,
yeah,
that can be the symbol of your rebellion against Jason. Right?
Yeah, this is it. I'm gonna. If only I could open it and actually wear it, you know, that'd be better. I just like screw Jason.
You can.
No, you absolutely can, and I expect to see you.
No, but then it would devalue this beautiful piece signed by none other than Toby Nigwe. Okay, you will remember the name.
We'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
Can we maybe go back a couple of slides to animated Blackout, Gary?
For sure.
I have a story to tell about animated Blackout. I think a lot of the people who are listening and watching along with us in the comments, they probably know this. I'm sorry. I'll try to keep it a little bit brief. So some of you may also be aware, we've name dropped it, but we haven't really spoken too much about it. So Mikey and I also do some streaming for Toy Reel, which is a wonderful, very high production YouTube channel run by our friend Clinton, and we get together to talk about toys a lot, which is what we're doing tonight as well. So like it's on topic for us. We love talking about toys. Part of producing content for Toy Reel was last year we visited the Chamber of Toys, which is this wonderful seller in Singapore who has a room full of toys. And it is so we only just managed to publish the video, which was sort of a bit of a guided tour to the Chamber of Toys. So please, if you haven't seen it, check out the Toy Reel YouTube channel and just go to YouTube and search for Toy Reel Chamber of Toys. I think we've published it as Singapore's Big Secret, and the amount of stuff they have a shelf. It is 2026. They have a very large shelf of mint in sealed box animated toys. Both American and Japanese, and that's where I found Blackout. And so this was a live photograph taken of Blackout when I discovered that it was in the Chamber of Toys, and I took this photo and I sent it to a few friends. I went, guys, I'm about to do something really stupid because animated Blackout.
Really smart.
Well, so I pitched it to myself as being really smart. But Animated Blackout has been on my watch list for a really long time. I think you can tell a lot about a collector if you get them to show you their eBay watch list. Like what are the things that people look for, and what are the things that they're waiting for to come up for a good price. So like I've got some pins on my watch list. I have just BotCon on my watch list because if someone lists something new on eBay for BotCon, I kind of want to know. The days are long gone where I sit there and wait for those emails to come through and look at them, and they're all kind of the same thing these days. It's like someone's like, oh, it's the same old BotCon stuff. It's very rare for new stuff to come up, and so over the years, so this is Blackout, which is notable because there was no Blackout character in the show. But Blackout, this version of Blackout is a case of the animated toy designers going, hey, let's take a character from the movies, because the movies brought Blackout in 2007, just as animated was starting out, and saying, let's take a character from the movies and put them into animated. And so they did.
There was a Blackout in the show, but he was Cybertron mode, but there definitely was this Blackout in the show. Sorry.
Yeah. So this is the thing where sometimes my memory of this stuff is not that great.
Yeah. The reason why you forgot is he came in his Cybertron version, and he transformed into the same robot. He actually had a voice line and all that. But he didn't make they were going to make him these characters come to Earth, and he would eventually scan a helicopter, but unfortunately he didn't.
Guess what? Blackout is in the Trial of Megatron in his Earth helicopter mode.
There you go. He would have made it.
Yeah, would have made it. And so this is essentially this was an early designed figure that Takara released. Takara released animated figures as the show was winding down in the US. They brought it to Japan. Also, small footnote, they brought it to Japan with the absolute most kick-ass version of the theme song that they could possibly have had. If you've never like seen how hard Japanese anime themes go, the Japanese intro for Transformers Animated goes
Transformers
really
Evo.
hard. It's so good.
Transformers Evo is like one of my favorite songs ever. I have no idea what's going on, like word wise, but like it is so hardcore.
Half of that's awesome. In English, but you still don't know what's going on.
I don't even get those parts. Like it's just like Transformers. What's that?
Yeah.
Now, Jason, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You mentioned you're a package nerd. You're obviously a Grail hunter with animated.
Yeah.
Is Blackout going to leave in his box or outside of his box?
Blackout has not been removed from his box yet.
Will he?
It's kind of funny. So no, it's kind of funny, right? So I feel if you can see all the figures on my shelves behind me, I'm clearly not an inbox collector, right? Scotty, you got a bunch of figures on shelves behind you there as well. Like you're clearly not an inbox collector either, right?
Sorry. I even went as far as to clear out all my boxes. My wife was getting sick of how many I was keeping, and she's like, and I was like, yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I went as far as to chuck them all out. That's how dedicated I am to not selling them.
Yeah.
Their boxes.
Chris, I see some boxes on shelves behind you. Do you go both ways? So that's a loaded question, but let's talk about Transformers.
I do.
There's a lot of innuendo there.
For me, a number of years back, I went to collecting exclusively G1 Devastator variants and G1 Optimus Prime variants, and all of those, luckily, come in a nice little styrofoam bit inside a box.
Yeah.
So if I do have a box, it's opened. I did some sealed box collecting for a little while, and there's no joy there. So I'm a little bit of both. So I had to put the loose toy in front of the box toy. That's pretty much how I go.
Yeah. Mikey, I know Mikey's not an inbox collector. How about yourself, Gary? Like, are there some parts of your collections that you would keep sealed?
Well, actually, I've got an MP10 Ghostbusters crossover that I really want to get a version where it's out of the box already, because I just can't bring myself to bring that pristine
It is a very
white
cool box.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very cool box, and it's not in A1 condition, but I definitely I'm going to keep it in there for a while. And I've got a couple other Ghostbusters figures that I'm still keeping in the boxes. I don't know, they just haven't felt the vibe yet. I've got I got the speaking about contention, I've got the Motu crossover figures, which are dorky as hell, a bit of fun.
They look so good in their boxes.
The artwork on the boxes on the back, I just want to leave them like that, right? And I won't have any problems picking up any figures I can open, so that's not an issue. And the missing link ones, I've currently got them in the box.
Uncle Chunt's a bad influence. He's telling us to set them free.
Set them free.
I took my missing link out of its box just so I could play with it at least once. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Hey Scotty, I want to put this comment up because I think it's just so very cool. I assume it's from your partner, your lovely wife. Thank you for your support. And she said Magnus, who was our first ever piece in our fan art segment, our first ever fan art segment, heard all the kind comments. Look of amazement on his face was so cool. He reckons that millions of people are going to see his art, no pressure. But that's your folks. You got to subscribe. You got to share, because we got to put another smile on Magnus's face as we show his world, his artwork to millions of people.
Scotty, can I just say, Magnus is like the coolest name ever. You did really well there.
Yeah.
We're really proud of him. He's turning out all right.
From the 5 seconds I've seen,
good.
From the 5 seconds I've seen of him, he seems like a real good lad.
Yeah, he made a guest appearance. Actually, you're not the first guest, Jason. We've had a couple of
yes.
That's it. I'm out.
Ultra Magnus was.
You moved down to number 3. I think. Robert says the Motor Master is Batman animated.
That's true.
I can't see anything right on that. And Uncle Chunt wants to set those bots free. He says,
"Yeah, Jace. How many likes on this video for you to crack him open?"
Well, so okay,
and donate the Stunticon jobs and donate
to Mikey. Donate the Stunticon job to Mikey.
Let's go back to Blackout, right? So
let's go back to Blackout.
Here's the thing, right? This figure is 20 years old, right? It is not produced, like it's getting on to 20 years old anyway. It's close. I think this is like 2010 but it's getting close to 20 years old. They don't make these anymore, and I feel a little bit of a responsibility to keep this in as good a condition as I can, which means probably not opening that, because like you can see, it's still got the price tag. I can assure you that is not the price that I paid for it. It's still got a price tag on the front of it. Like it's come from a shop. It's got some shelfware on it. Like it's a cool item. And if I was to open it, what do I do with the box? The box is gone, right? Like the box goes out to the recycling or something, and it's like
someone gasped.
I've got it, Jason. I know what you can do. You can get it graded and put in one of those acrylic boxes.
No, I'm not going to do that.
If you truly want to protect it, you can protect it forever and ever and ever, and put it in and get it graded.
Put it in another box. Go the opposite of Uncle Chuck.
Exactly. Instead of opening it, we're going to put it in another box that you can never open.
I won't unbox it. I'll box it.
You box it.
So I feel a responsibility to not take a boxed Blackout off the market, and so if I want to sell this in the future, it's worth a lot more. I paid a pretty penny for it. We'll get to how much. Nathan put in the chat. He said TLDR, Jason Highway robbed animated Blackout too. Kind of did, but I kind of didn't. I kind of didn't as well. And to be perfectly honest, this was an acquisition from November last year, and I'm kind of still feeling the sting of it. And it's June, like it's a year later, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I should have done this or not, but like I got off on it better than I should have. So what ends up happening when you go to the Chamber of Toys is that all of this stuff is sitting there. And please do go check out the Toy Reel video. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a great video. It's a really interesting watch.
So the Chamber of Toys, yeah.
Jason, was it your left or right kidney that you donated?
Both.
Both, yeah. Okay, so it was that much.
Thoroughly hooked up. That's where the light's coming from. It's coming from the machine that's supporting him.
Yeah,
that's supporting his living.
I don't. So is there a part of me that wants to transform? Yeah. I've handled one before, right? Because let me tell you a little about why I purchased this, and like I said, I took this photo. I'm going to do something stupid. I went to the Chamber of Toys, and I found a bunch of cool stuff there. Unsurprising. The first cool thing that I found there was the animated Jetpack Bumblebee set. Again, mint and sealed box. Now, so this is November 2025. I'd just been to TF Nation, and I found the animated Jetpack Bumblebee set on a shelf at TF Nation. And I walked up to the guy, I'm like, God, it's got a £60 price tag on it. Far out. I'm going to do that. I'm like, yes, I will buy that for £60. Thank you. And the guys looked at me. He's like, it's not £60. It's £160. I'm like, what? And I'm like, but it says £60. He's like, no, the thing next to the 6 is a 1. I'm like, I thought that was the pound symbol. Oops. So I'm like, yeah. So that's gone from being $120 to being over $300. I'm like, yeah, okay. That's it. It can stay there. I'm not going to buy that. And so Jason had half of both kidneys. Yeah, I believe that's how kidneys work, Mark. They both grow back. Yeah. I was still smarting from this £60, £160 mistake. So I walked into the Chamber of Toys and I found that set. And I'm like, how much is that? And the guy's like, oh. So when you find something you want at the Chamber of Toys, it is. So let's go back a minute. So the Chamber of Toys is, unfortunately, and we couldn't necessarily say this in the Toy Reel video because there are things that you can and things that you can't say about the origins of particular things. And when I first visited the Chamber of Toys a few years ago, it was pitched to me as a collector's collection. The guy wanted to make a toy museum, but circumstances had changed and he's now selling everything. And at that time, it was split across 2 floors of a warehouse. And there were things that had been purchased by the shipping box. And we know that when toys get shipped out, there's multiples of them in the shipping box. And so there were multiple copies of things on the shelves, and they'd put things on pegs, so you could find the same thing 5 times on pegs. And if you're looking for particular things, they're all there hanging up on pegs or on shelves. Now, this time when we went to visit the Chamber of Toys, we were told it's a deceased collector's estate. So, sadly, whatever caused that collector to pivot from museum to sell everything was probably very likely medical bills. And so it's very sad to think they lost that battle. They lost that battle, and one of their friends has taken on selling this collection, and they sell the collection and they do sort of remit the money that's made off it back to the estate of the collector. And so
nice.
We'll go out and we'll make jokes about things and go, oh yeah, I know boats, I know how much this is worth, right? They know how much the stuff that's in their collection is worth. And so when you go in there, there's no prices on items, because when you go in there and you look for something and you see something you want to buy, they've got to go and look it up, and they're like, well, that's going on eBay for this much at the moment, so like we'll sell it to you for this much. So your pricing is very much real-time market value. So I went in there and I picked up the Jetpack Bumblebee, and It was something like 200 Sing dollars. I'm like, great, it's less than the 300 that I mistakenly missed at TFN. Great, I'll take it. $200, thanks, done. And so I then looked further around and I found these are the Japanese ones. So the Japanese animated figures have shiny paint jobs. They're wonderful. They look amazing. They look great on camera. And so I looked further and I found the Japanese 2-pack of Bulkhead, who is Ironhide in Japan. They didn't give him the name Bulkhead. They called him Ironhide. So it was Ironhide and Soundwave. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool too. And I looked around. I'm like, that's cool. I will get 2 Japanese animated 2-packs from this visit to the Chamber of Toys, and I will be happy. And they're like, yeah, that one's $180. I'm like, yep, cool. The bill is starting to get up there. Like we're getting into like the $400 range, right? Now, during this trip in November, I visited the Chamber of Toys twice. Went there on a Monday, and I went there on a Friday, and I went there on the Monday as well. With the Friday, we went with Clinton, and we filmed the toy reel video there. And then I went back on the Monday with a friend of ours. His name is Adam, and while we were there, Adam went out for a smoke, and the Chamber of Toys is on level 2 of this warehouse building. Like if you know things about like Southeast Asia, like there's amazing things in warehouse buildings like this. And Adam went out for a smoke. He went down to the street and he had his cigarette, and then he came back and he'd forgotten what level of the building the chamber was on. And so he went into the lift and he pushed level 3. And he went up to level 3 of the building, and he stepped out of the lift and he's like, what's this? Hang on. This is weird. There's people working here because it's an office building. It's an office. It's a business. And there were people working there, but they were the same people who'd been on level 2 showing us around the Chamber of Toys. So like they left us in the chamber and gone upstairs to go back to work. And so Adam stepped out of the lift. He's like, what's going on? Like where are all the toys? This is weird. And he's contacted me on WhatsApp and he sent me a photo and he's like, mate, I'm upstairs and like there's different toys up here. They had a meeting room that was full to overflowing of Masters of the Universe figures. And I don't know if you guys know Masters of the Universe figures, but they were not just like regular retail Masters of the Universe. They were Motu 2000 figures, which are like highly sought after and very valuable. And there's just a pile of them sitting in the room. And so Adam's pulled out his phone and he snapped a photo and he's like, mate, I don't know where I am, but like there's more Transformers up here. And he sent me a photo of a pile of Transformers. And I'm like, whoa. There's a blackout in that pile of toys that you just photographed on. Sorry, what level of the building is this? I need to go up to level 3. And so I went up to level 3 and I saw it sitting there and I was like, okay. It's here. I have had this on my list of things to acquire for a very, very long time. And every time I see it, so when you go to TF Nation, there is a wonderful charity table called Toy Foo, and every year they've got an animated blackout there, and it goes like as soon as the deal room opens, someone just walks over and goes, "I will take that, thank you." Bum, it goes. Every year, its price goes up by 50 quid. It goes up by $100. So, well, if I find an animated blackout, like. I'm sick of missing out on it because the price goes up every time I miss out on it. So I went over and the guy who was showing us around, his name was Brian. I'm like, hey, Brian, how much is this? I've given him the animated blackout and he's like, I got to go and find out. And it took him a really long time to get an answer. So he WhatsApps his boss and he says, this person wants this. And his boss goes off and looks it up and stuff. And it took him a really long time to get me a price on it. And I was like, at this point, I am literally shaking. I'm that nervous about how much this is going to cost me because I expected it to be, the better part of $1,000 at this point. it is just, it's just what it's worth, especially mint in sealed box. And so Brian went away and he came back and he was like, they've given me a price, but I don't think it's right. So I've asked them to go and find one again. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah.
I'd be punching Brian in the face right now.
No. So Brian was on my side.
Okay,
He
fair
thought
enough.
the price was too high.
Oh, okay. Fair.
And he's like, I think it's wrong, and I've asked them to look it up again. And I'm like, just out of interest, what was the price they gave you? And he said they said $750. And I'm like, And I'm like, you know what? Look, to be honest, because I'm not, I don't want to go in and try to deceive someone into a deal. I'm like, I'll be honest, $750 is about the market value for it. That's kind of what I would expect you to charge me for it. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Well, we'll take that into consideration. And they came back and they said, oh, look, $650. He said, that's they've decided the price for that is $650. And I said, okay, look, here's the thing. I've already spent $400 on figures from you guys, and if I knew that you had a blackout, I probably would not have purchased those other figures, and I would have just purchased blackout. But now we're in this situation where, like, I know you got blackout and I want it, but I've already spent a lot of money with you guys. I'm like, is there anything you can do for me? I'll ask. And he went away and he came back. And he came back about 20 minutes later and he said that they'll do it for $450. And as soon as the word "4" came out of his mouth, I went, done. Like, I don't care whether it's $490. I don't care if it's $400. Like, an animated blackout for $400 and anything dollars. Like, done. Like, that's fine. So this was a very expensive trip to the Chamber of Toys. We're going to go back there in Mike and I are going to go back there in August. So
well, you just about recouped it. But can I say, like, in the pre-show, you said we were talking about your career and the various things you've done, both in and out of Transformers. And one of the things that you said, which I wanted to touch on in the show, was you can open a lot of doors just by being nice. And the thing that strikes me about that story is, with the amount of waiting, the patience, the way you handled that situation, you were nice about it, and you came away with a win, and that's a really
absolutely
nice lesson.
And I'm glad I'm going with Jason, so he can nice all the people into getting me some good deals. So thanks, Jason.
You're aggressive, Jason.
There's some cool stuff you'll get.
Yeah, it's been an epic talk. Speaking of cool stuff, we've got a beautiful group shot. I can see Soundwave in there. That Soundwave's a favorite of mine. I've got that Soundwave figure. He's brilliant.
I love animated Soundwave. He's so cool.
The Seekers there, fantastic. But I wanted to finish on. This is our last picture slide. But this is the Grail. Now you sent me a few going through Toy Foo's warehouses, and they pulled out this BotCon super limited custom class Minerva that was donated to them, or they got their hands on. Nick from Toy Foo got his hands on, and I saw an interview with Nick. Nicest guy. Toy Foo is amazing, right?
Yeah,
Toy Foo is amazing. Yes,
but I'm really excited to meet them.
So if anyone can get this figure for 50% off, you can then show it to Jason, and he will know what it feels like.
And then you'll one up him.
So can I just say? So what we're talking about here?
What would be? It'd probably still be alive. But yeah, go on.
What we're talking about here is a figure called Minerva. Now, Minerva was not produced in the colors that you see in this slide. Minerva was produced as an all-white figure that was for a BotCon custom class, where they they teach people how to customize figures. They teach people how to paint figures, and you go into the class. You get a free all white figure, and it's up to you to paint it and make it what you want during that session. Now, these figures are legendary because they're produced in such limited numbers and they're all white, and so every single one that you see that goes for sale and it's painted, it's unique. It was painted by it might not have been painted by the person who's selling it, they might be reselling it, but it was painted by someone by hand. And so you're literally looking at the work of someone who may not have been very familiar with how paint applies to plastic. They might not be very familiar with how to customize these figures, but they went in there and had a go. And Toyfu has been given a Minerva. Minerva is another thing that sits on my eBay watch list, and at this point I have just accepted that I'm never going to own a Minerva. And that's to a degree, like I could have said that about Blackout until last year, but Minerva is the next level above Blackout in terms of rarity and unlikeliness. Being unlikely to own it, because it's such a limited number of figures. I think Nick said there were 300 produced. There were 300 produced. There were the ones that were sold to people at BotCon for the custom class, and then apparently I think it was 3H Productions. When they lost the license, they just emptied out their warehouse and there's a bunch more Minervas that just hit the market, but still only 300. And so Toyfu's been given Minerva as a donation. So we've mentioned Toyfu a little bit and how good they are, but we haven't really mentioned what they do. They collect donations all year round, and they have the single largest presence in the dealer room at TF Nation, and every single penny that they take goes to charity. It goes to a charity called Mary's Meals. And these people volunteer their time and effort and storage space and cataloging time, and there's an amazing army of volunteers who do work for Toyfu. And I've taken things to TFN. I get to TFN like the day of the event. I can't put my time into helping Toyfu, but I can donate things to them and try to get a little bit of extra money into their coffers. So over the years, I've been fortunate enough to turn up to TFN as toys get released in Southeast Asia, and so I get them and I take them to TFN, and they haven't necessarily been released there. And a great example of that was Siege Ratchet, which Siege Ratchet, a lot of people really love that figure, and I took 3 of them to TF Nation, and I gave one to Liam from Triple Takeover, and I donated one to Toyfu, and I think I'd agreed to sell one to someone else, and so I donated one to Toyfu, and I just said to them, you can probably stick £100 on this, and someone will buy it. And so I'm happy to donate things to Toyfu to bring in a bit of extra money for them, instead of being able to donate my time. Yes, Siege Ratchet is a hard get. However, I also think we might be very close to seeing a Siege Ratchet reissue, right? Because they've reissued Green Light and things like that.
Please.
Yeah, I reckon there's a very good chance, given the Siege reissues that are coming out. I think there's a really good chance of it.
Yes.
This Minerva is going for a silent auction at TF Nation. So get ready for Jason to absolutely be sailing back on a rowboat as he comes back to Australia with a 1 in a million Transformers figure. No, he will be. He'll say no, but he'll turn up back in Australia, and this will be in his luggage.
No, I can't. So I can't do it because the silent auctions at TFN, they go into the thousands of pounds, right? Yeah. And when I say thousands of pounds, I mean multiples of thousands. And if you do the maths on that, once that gets to 2,000, once that gets to 2,000, it's we're talking $5,000, right? I do not have that kind of money to throw around. I can't do it. And so when they said, this is going to end up as a silent auction, I'm like, well, yeah, I already resigned myself to not owning Minerva. I'm not gonna own this Minerva either. It's a really cool figure. There is a wonderful history to why the figure is, what it is and where it's come from. And it's just going to be that story for me. Like I will not own that figure, not for that price. It just can't happen. And you know what? Next year is the 20th anniversary of animated, so maybe Hasbro will bring a Minerva out in Gen Selects. Who knows? Someone did actually mention Legacy Minerva. Uncle Chunt said that he's fine. I have to be very careful pronouncing Uncle Chunt's name, by the way.
He is a tricky one. Every week, and every week I'm super careful about how I introduce it. But he knows that's why.
I know his name is Chris, but I'm just going to say Uncle Chunt. He says he's fine with his Legacy Minerva, right? So yeah.
Jason, I have to ask.
Yeah.
So, let's say a Grail piece like this comes along, maybe once in a lifetime. At this opportunity, you have to be at TF Nation and purchase it, right? What is stopping you from selling a large chunk of the stuff you have behind you, a large chunk of something in storage? What does actually prevent you from doing that?
What's stopping you from selling me to England?
There you go.
Yeah, you didn't think about that, did you? You did sell.
So the first thing is I need more than 50p to purchase Minerva, Mikey.
I don't know
Mikey Savage.
I don't know if you've been exotic sale in England, Mikey.
So sorry, I've dropped a Now You See It reference, right? So let's go for Blackadder. Who remembers the original series of Blackadder when they decide to sell Baldric, and they send Baldric down to the docks to sell him to sailors, and then you see them go, right, well that's 10p.
Maybe he could be a part of your layaway plan or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. To be honest, I'm lazy. Right, I could sell the stuff behind me, but I like the stuff that's behind me, right? So
no, I mean a chunk of it. So I feel like there's some stuff on the lower shelf towards the back. Maybe a couple lower shelves that really aren't doing a whole lot for you. Because I know the same thing. Because what I go through is I was moving my collection down to Australia, which is not easy to do. I got rid of a lot of stuff, and then now that I'm here, and I still have a decent amount of my collection in my parents' basement at home right now, I don't have any more space. So if I want to bring stuff here, I've got to get rid of stuff. And you have stuff in storage. That's what I'm saying. So as collectors, at what point do you say, for you personally, that's what I'm asking you, because I'm in a conundrum myself, and I'm just curious for some feedback. At what point do you go, oh, the 7 storage boxes I have in the garage or in the attic or whatever, what is it worth? What are those worth to me actually, versus having a once in a lifetime opportunity come up where you actually have the funds to potentially put something on that? That's all I'm asking, really, more or less.
It's a difficult question to answer, right? Because, and it is something that went through my mind with Blackout. I was really fortunate with Blackout because I got a promotion at work like a few weeks before that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can afford that now. And like I said, I was probably going to buy it even if it was $600 or $700. I'm just glad I didn't have to. But so I'm probably a bit pessimistic about the value of my collection, right? Like I've got a lot of masterpiece figures, and like the ass has fallen out of the masterpiece market, right? Like they're not worth what you paid for them anymore. Some of the old ones might be, and like I mentioned MP4S earlier, right? Like
sure.
That's probably worth what I paid for it. And I also made sure that I kept the shipping box that one came in as well. But
Smart,
but like if like I like they finished the Masterpiece line, and I found it very, very liberating because I no longer need to complete and buy every Masterpiece figure that comes out. Like I don't have to keep up with that line anymore, and I can chop and change. I've got a cupboard over there that's got some of the old Masterpiece Seekers and an MP5 Megatron in it, and I could sell those. I'd probably only get it, a couple of $100 for them these days, and I don't know what I would sell in my collection that's a big ticket item, because like I've got BotCon figures. BotCon figures have appreciated in value. In fact, so I've got BotCon figures. I've got eHobby figures, right? So I could sell the eHobby figures, and I've got an eHobby Blitzwing, and things like that. And so those kind of figures, they're definitely worth serious money, and they're some of the most expensive stuff in my collection. But I kind of don't want to sell those ones. Like,
right? No, fair, yeah.
And I feel I honestly feel like the amount of effort that I would have to go to drum up the funds to justify purchasing a Minerva does not equate the value of placing Minerva on that shelf. Like I feel like it's one of those things where I can be happy to know that Minerva is out there and that some people have her and they're very, very happy with her, but I don't need to have her on my shelf. She's something that, if I walked into what's our local thing, we always, if someone's gone into Savers, so find a BotCon Minerva in Savers, yeah, I'll buy that.
Right.
It's not very likely, right? There's a lot of things I would like to find in Savers, but it's not going to happen. So yeah, what's Mark said there? What's stopping Jason selling Mikey to the UK? Lack of interest. Yeah, London was the heart of slave
lack of interest.
Mikey would be broken. Mikey would be broken up for parts. So that's it. I believe that's kind of mergers and acquisition territory. Like Mikey would be sold for parts to the highest, or would it be the lowest bidder? I don't know.
I don't know. It just depends
how the contractors work.
Some parts are better than others.
At least if you did sell Minerva, if you did sell everything to get Minerva, you'd have a lot of negative spacing and display, and she would really pop.
Yeah, she'd really stand out, wouldn't she?
You already got the lighting. You already got the lighting too.
But the biggest problem I have is that she wouldn't stand out. I've got white shelves behind me. Like, I would need to buy black billies in order to make Minerva stand out.
Sell the white billies, buy a black billy, and chuck Minerva in it. Jason, this has been awesome. It's been so good. We have actually gained subscribers during this cast, which is fantastic. We're now up to 8, which means we are just 6 subscribers away from our first Foundation stretch goal, and we got a couple of Bumblebee figures donated by Michael Vella as well. So we have this statue of Bumblebee with a kind of smirk reminiscent of animated, actually. Now that I look at it. And whoops, not that one. We don't have a Minerva. We need about we need about Mr. Beast.
We need about 100. Yeah, we need about 6 billion subscribers to get that one.
But we have the next best thing, which is a Hot Wheels Bumblebee. And we will happily send you that. I
can't get it in stores anymore.
Can't get it in stores anymore. You could customize it. I wanted to ask you, as we start to wrap up. Oh, hang on. Oh, we've got a buyer for your MP Beast Megatron.
I believe Nathan and I have actually agreed that sale before. I just don't know quite where it is, but no, that's fine, Nathan. We can sort that out because it hasn't been opened. And what did I say earlier? Like I kind of don't care for the Beast Wars stuff, but I purchased all the Beast Wars masterpieces because they were numbers in that masterpiece series that I needed to purchase.
You know you've got a discount coming your way. Jace, I wanted to hit you up. You did 289 episodes of the TCCA podcast. You've done Toy Reel. Shout out to them. They're very well established. I just want to get your take. How are we doing, mate? Like we are a month into this thing, Aussie Botcast. You know, we got a great group of guys. You know, a great support. Now, remember, you said you would be nice. So whatever you say, you have to do it in a nice way. But how have you enjoyed? How have you enjoyed tonight? How have you enjoyed Aussie Botcast? Your first time here, hopefully not your last. Give us some feedback, my friend.
I'm gonna flip it a little bit, right? So I hope that you all have enjoyed. No. I hope that you've all enjoyed having me on, because I know that I tend to take all the oxygen on the podcast, right? Like I know Stel and I know Chris and Scott have not been able to get much of a word in edgeways while I've been on, and I'm sorry. Like I've come on to tell stories, and so I'm quite long-winded when I tell stories, and so I hope you've enjoyed having me on, and I hope you'll have me back, because if there's one thing that I love doing, I love talking about Transformers, and I kind of don't care about the forum in which I do it. One of the things that we started doing in TCCA was we started doing a video call on Wednesday nights during COVID, and we still do it to this day. And there's a group of us that get together and we talk about Transformers and other toys. And some of the guys in the chat, I'm going to say refugees from that chat. They've made an appearance for us on a Sunday night, which thank you all for turning up and coming into the chat for it. And yeah, like it's early days, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes into making a podcast, but by and large, the one thing that you need, and this is the one thing that Mikey is my cohort from the TCCA podcast as well, and the one thing that Mikey can definitely attest to: time. Like time, getting time to actually set aside a time to sit here and. We've been on the air for 2 hours and 10 minutes, as I see.
Our longest official episode. This is our longest official episode.
But we were on.
And I knew it would be. Yeah, I knew it would be our longest episode.
I make no apologies for that. I'm sorry. But I say no apologies, and then I immediately followed it up with "I'm sorry."
I'm sorry.
That's what I do. You're good.
Yeah. That's absolutely. But it's not just the time that we're sitting here talking, right? Like it's the time that goes into preparing it. It's the time that goes into the time. Like we were sitting on this StreamYard call like for half an hour beforehand as well. So we're up to nearly 3 hours of time for a Sunday night. So, and there's 6 of us. It's really difficult to get 6 people to put their time aside and do this. I know, Chris and Scott. I know you've got kids as well, right? And Mikey is a kid.
He's a kid. It takes a lot to get me to sit still for an hour. So
yeah, I have a cat who is clawing at the door wanting to come in. Like that's the closest that I get to kids. Gary, I don't know what your family situation is like, and still I don't know, but like being able to actually put aside time to do this is the most important thing. And there's the most important stuff. It's time and it's energy, and it's bringing that willingness to actually sit down and actually do this. And like you're 4 episodes in, you've got a plan up on screen for things to do on future episodes. One of the things that we did on the TCCA podcast is like we would often joke. I say joke, like we'd say that we have like a featured topic, but we never really had a featured topic because we just talk about news because we were doing a weekly podcast. But I also think the podcast landscape has changed a lot in the last few years since we did the TCCA podcast on a regular basis. And I think it's actually really good that you can actually set a topic for a show and go, right, we're actually going to do a deep dive into this. And that's what we've done tonight, talking about animated and other things as well. but being able to actually say, right, we're talking about this topic this week, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to publish this episode, and people are maybe a little bit more discerning in where they get their podcasts, but what they listen to. And people might come along and they might listen to an episode of a podcast because it covers a topic that they're interested in, rather than subscribing to the entire podcast. And I think it's almost the cable TV model, right? Like you might go a la carte, and you might consume an episode of a podcast here and there. You might try some things out, and if you listen to a couple of episodes, you might hit that subscribe button. By the way, since we're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, everyone. Thank you. So it's like, there you go. There's like and subscribe, and so yeah, and so it's a learning process, right?
Is it not a voice animated thing?
It's not a voice animated thing.
Oh, did you put it up? I thought when you said like and subscribe, it just popped up.
Oh no, I think Gary's pressing buttons to make that pop.
Oh, okay. And I just said it because I thought it made it come up, and it didn't come up. I was just like, what is it, only Jason?
No, Mikey keeps saying it so that Gary keeps pressing it, but Mikey doesn't know that he's making Gary press the button. It's actually a weird and perverted form of the mechanical Turk.
Uncle John, sorry, Uncle John, we didn't get you to your show. We ate up your time, but you are working on your book, so that's fantastic. Thank you. He's been at it a long time, and I'm looking forward to having him on. Well done keeping consistent time after recording. Yeah, that's it. It's a lot of work, but you know what? Couldn't ask for a better bunch of blokes to have found when I started this project and put that request up. Grateful for them every week. Grateful for the audience that we've gathered. Grateful for the conversations that we have, and every single one of those 80 subscribers, amazing. We're enjoying it so much, right? And when people say, you know, if you're struggling to find time, then don't do it. I don't subscribe to that. I'm like, I want to do this. I'm making the time to do it. The other blokes are making the time for it, and we're going to continue to do so, and continue to bring this thing that we think is bringing together the community in Australia and helping us reach the rest of the world too. So we're very grateful to have you on. Please, yes, Mikey, can you please say it? Like, subscribe, and join the chat.
Like, subscribe, and join the chat. And then, there it is. There it is.
It's magic,
guys.
That's for 10p, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Mikey's definitely earned his pay tonight.
Yeah, he has. We'll put 10p towards his TF Nation account. Thank you so much, Mr. Murray. We would be so stoked to have you back on after TF Nation. Get a report of that. We really, it's one of the things that being on the top end of the world, depending on your viewpoint, we don't have a con of our own that is dedicated to Transformers. Michael Vella hit Supernova up. We've got people going to the other smaller conventions, but we just don't quite have that support for Transformers yet. But hopefully,
it's a funny thing, right? Like, it's a recurring thing that people will come to us in TCC and they'll just say to us, look, why don't we have an Australian Transformers convention? It's like it's the country. Like, we're a very big country, and we're very spread out, and we only have what's the population of Australia these days? It's like 28 million or something, right? And so we're spread out in various places. So when I used to live in Sydney, Michael would often be sort of one of the nexus points around which meetups would happen. And so, like, Michael and I would sort of go, hey, let's do a meetup. We'll go out somewhere. We'd often go to places like Hog's Breath Cafe and, just flood the table with Transformers and just have a lot of fun there, or go to Ribs and Rumps at Olympic Park and flood the table with Transformers and have fun there, or go to another place and flood the table with Transformers. And like, we've just said, come along, sit down, have a meal with people and just bring Transformers, bring anything you think is interesting. And people would bring such interesting stuff from their collection. But that was Sydney, right? Like, that was, so we managed to get 10 or 15 people around a table in Sydney, and we would sometimes we'd time those so that people would go to Supernova and then come and have dinner with us afterwards. And I'm like, it's really hard. It's really hard to get people to go across. It's hard to get people to go to the next suburb for a meetup. It's harder to get people to go across town for a meetup. By far, the most successful meetup that we have ever run in TCCA was for Transformers 1. And I say successful meetup that we've run. We did not run that meetup. Hasbro gave us 250 tickets. Paramount or Hasbro gave us 250 tickets and went, do you think you can fill the cinema? And I went, yeah. And people flew in from Adelaide. I flew in from Melbourne. People flew in from Brisbane to see a Transformers. Yeah. You flew in from Western Sydney, and boy, were your arms tired. But like it's the largest number of people we ever managed to get into one spot for a TCCA meetup, because ostensibly it was a TCCA meetup, but the only way we managed to do it was by showing people a Transformers movie 3 months before it got to the cinema. That is not something that you can actually pull off very often, right? So it's really difficult to get people to give enough of a shit to come out for a meetup, let alone a convention, right? Yeah. If you run a convention, you need guests. If you have guests, you need insurance, you need ticket sales, you need a venue, you need all sorts of stuff, and it's really hard to do this. And so, you know what? If we do anything Transformers related, or if there's anything Transformers related that happens on the convention circuit in Australia, it's at Oz Comic Con and it's at Supernova, because they are the big conventions that sell enough tickets and they have deep enough pockets that they can get people to come along. And they bring voice artists and comic artists in, and they don't just do Transformers, right? Like, these people have all got other things under their belt, and people will come along and see them, maybe not necessarily for Transformers. They might come and see them for other work that they've done as well. And if we go out and go, we're gonna, we might get, I can't remember, Shane Black, who wrote Transformers Drift, and did some of the early IDW stuff with All Hail Megatron. And he's over in Perth. He's an Australian. He's over in Perth. He doesn't do anything much Transformers related these days. But if you want to talk to him about ballroom dancing, he'll definitely be interested, is what I hear. I don't know. I've never spoken to him, right? But he would be the cheapest person in the Transformers fandom for you to get to come to a convention in Sydney or Melbourne. Where do you put that? Where do you put that convention? You put it in Sydney, and people from Melbourne won't come. Or they might if they feel like it this weekend. But what about people from Brisbane? What about people from Darwin? What do they do? And it's like I said, it's really hard to get people to give enough of a shit to come along to a convention. And all you need is one thing that conflicts with it in their schedule, and they're like, oh, too bad, I can't go to that convention this weekend. I was going to enjoy myself there, but I'm not. So I'm not going to buy a ticket to that anymore. You've lost a ticket sale. You've lost foot traffic. There's such a risk.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because one of the premises of this show and having a rotating panel is that we have the opportunity to bring on other collectors, other fans, not necessarily YouTubers. Like, we love having YouTubers on, content creators, but just having other fans, other collectors on, and just getting on and chatting about something in the future. So if you're watching this, if you're in any of the groups and you get an invite, it's a genuine invite to come on as a guest panelist, have a chat, and just in some small way get a sense of that, crossing the physical boundaries of the country and getting together to have a chat. Jason, we are going to wrap it up there before my panel members and I pass out. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you.
It is Sunday night, isn't it? We all have to work in the morning, right?
Yeah, right.
Chris is going to need 6 weeks before he can come back on because he's
I know.
exhausted. He's exhausted.
I'll need 2
Well,
weeks at least.
Scotty, thank you so much. Jason, we look forward to seeing you again from TF Nation. We may have to start the episode at 5 p.m., but we have loved every single minute, and we are so grateful to have you on board. Thank you so much. And to everyone that's watched us on the replays, thank you. We are out.